Welcome to today's tips and tricks videos. Today we're going to talk about the start stop button. The start stop button is on a very large selection of our machines. Now some of you guys probably haven't even ever used this function before, but today I'm going to show you some of the fun reasons on why you may want to try it out and why it makes it so special. So some of the reasons why you may want to use your start stop button is I like to use it for decorative stitches because it's going to give you a really even, consistent stitch and perfect tension. Because sometimes when we're sewing with our foot pedal, we may be pushing a little bit faster or a little bit slower, just like when we drive, your speed may change a little bit. That's going to change our tension a bit. So sometimes it can be really nice if I'm doing a lot of decorative stitching, like some name tags, which I have a video on how to do some really fun labels that we can link below. I love to use my start stop button on that. So that's a great way of using. Another way is if you're new at free motion quilting. Free motion quilting is somewhat of a hard thing in quilting. Some people have a hard time with it. And especially when you're a beginner, one of the great ways of controlling some of the variables within free motion quilting is by using your start stop button. And the reason that is because all we have to worry about is the movement of our hands instead of the foot. Free motion is kind of a dance. It's kind of like patting your head and rubbing your belly at the same time. It's kind of a lot to think about. So when we eliminate one of those things that we have to worry about, it can be a little bit smoother. So all we have to do is unplug our foot control, and then all we're having to worry about is moving the speed of our fabric. And we're going to control our speed with our speed bar, which I'll show you how to do that in a second. Another great way of using your start stop button is if you have mobility issues. I've broken my leg before and wasn't able to sew because I didn't have my Janome with my start stop button. So if I had had that, I still would have been able to sew. I've actually also even gone on a retreat and left my foot pedal at home, and instead of having to drive all the way home, I just sewed with my start stop button. So there can be a lot of great ways. You may find a different way that I haven't explored yet. So let's come over to the machine. I'm going to show you some fun ways to use your start stop button. So the first thing that we have to do when we use our start stop button is unplug our foot control. Because if we don't, the machine's going to message us. It's going to be sound a little beep up on the front of our screen, and it's going to show us to unplug our foot control. So first I'm going to just unplug that foot control, and now I'm going to be controlling the speed through the front of my machine. So at the front of your machine, if you have a start stop button, you're also going to have this bar right here. It's going to have 1, 2, or 3 arrows. 1 arrow is going to be nice and slow, 3 is going to be really fast, depending on the machine that you have. This machine sews pretty fast, so it's going to be going up to 1100 stitches a minute. So I don't think I want to sew quite that fast, so I'm going to slow this down a bit. So I'm going to put this towards that medium range, and then we can go from there. So I've got my machine all set up to just do some piecing. I've got my 1/4 inch foot on, and I've got my fabric placed. So all I have to do is press the start button, and it's only going to go as fast as I have it set here. So now we're just going to press this, and if I feel like that's a little too fast, I can always adjust that, either to make it faster or slower. I'm going to sew all the way down to the bottom, get to the end, and just stop. And now I can put my next piece on, or I could cut my threads if that's what I wanted to do. Now, the start stop button actually can be a little bit more advanced than just starting and stopping. There's also a function called the slow start or the slow stop. I'm going to show you that. So the way that works is we're going to put our fabric underneath, place our foot down, and now when I want to start, instead of just pressing that start button, I'm actually going to hold it down. And what that's going to do is it's going to stitch really slowly, and then when I let it go, it's going to start speeding up. And again, I could speed up my speed, and now I'm chugging along. Now if I want to stop, I could just stop it, or if I hold it down, it's going to do 1 stitch at a time, and then when I let it go, it's going to stop in the down position. And then now I can cut my threads, or I could start quilting again, or whatever project I was working on. And we're just going to cut our threads, and then we're good to go. Thanks so much for watching this tips and tricks video on how to use your start stop button. If you haven't already tried it out yet, I hope this has encouraged you to try it out and explore all the fun ways you can use your Start Stop button on your machine.